They let me die. How could they? What?
So let's be honest. Gen V Season 2 has been a roller coaster of shocking reveals, insane power upgrades, and deeper ties to the boys' universe. But among all the chaos, one character is being completely underestimated. And I don't think the writers are doing this by accident. I'm talking about Cate Dunlap, the Soup who seemed nearly untouchable in Season 1, only to be portrayed as weaker and more fragile than ever in Season 2. But don't be fooled, because Cate's storyline is hiding one of the biggest power shifts in the entire series. And once you dig into the clues, it becomes clear that Cate is not only still one of the most dangerous Soups alive, but her abilities could end up being more terrifying than anything we've seen from Homelander, Cypher, or even Marie. From the moment Cate was introduced, she wasn't just another Godolkin student. She was a walking weapon, disguised as someone soft-spoken, friendly, and even vulnerable. Her ability to control minds with a simple touch made her the ultimate manipulator, the kind of Soup who didn't need brute force to dominate a battlefield. In Season 1, we saw just how lethal this was when she manipulated Luke into believing lies about his brother, or when she used her powers to keep the Woods facility a secret. Cate's touch wasn't just mind control. It was total submission. That alone made her one of the scariest characters in Gen V, because unlike physical powers, mental domination is something you can't really fight back against. But then Season 2 begins, and suddenly, Cate feels broken. After her head injury during the Season 2 premiere, her powers are portrayed as glitchy, unreliable, even laughable at times. Instead of the cold, calculated manipulator we saw in Season 1, Cate is shown fumbling with her abilities, failing to properly control people, and losing her edge. The best example is when she tries to use her mind control to sneak into Cypher's secret room. Instead of pulling off a smooth trick, she accidentally forces a guard to make love to a garden gnome. It's played off as dark comedy, but on the surface, it looks like Cate is weaker than she's ever been. A former powerhouse reduced to the level of comic relief. But here's the thing. Gen V loves to misdirect. The writers want you to think Cate has been nerfed, but the deeper you look, the more obvious it becomes that she's still every bit as powerful as before, maybe even more so. They're just hiding it behind her broken state to build up a bigger payoff later. And the biggest clue to this comes from one of the creepiest, most overlooked scenes of the entire season so far, Cate's hospital scene. While in a coma, completely unconscious, Cate manages to reach out with her mind and control one of the nurses attending to her. This wasn't just a simple command. It was full-blown possession, forcing the nurse to communicate with Sam on Cate's behalf, and then brutally stab and kill another member of the medical staff. Think about how insane that is. Cate didn't even need to be awake to make it happen. She was literally in a coma and still able to hijack someone's body and turn them into a weapon. That is way beyond the scope of what we thought her powers could do. It means her mind control isn't limited to touch anymore, and it may not even require her full awareness. This changes everything about Cate's character, because it proves that her powers are evolving. If Cate can influence people while unconscious, then there's no telling how far her abilities can go once she recovers fully. She may not just be able to touch someone and control them anymore. She may be able to project her influence across rooms, buildings, maybe even entire cities, without even lifting a finger. That's God-level power. And it puts her in a league far above most of the other Soups we've seen in Gen V or even the boys. And here's where it gets even scarier. Cate's coma scene showed us that she doesn't just nudge people into doing small things. She can force people into violent, self-destructive, or lethal actions without hesitation. It's one thing to make someone forget a memory or believe a lie, but making someone stab their coworker to death, that's a whole new level of cruelty, and it speaks to how dangerous she'll become if her powers spiral out of control. Now let's zoom out for a second and put Cate into the bigger picture of the boys' universe. Remember, she was already considered valuable enough to be recruited into Homelander's Soup Army in the boys' Season 4. That wasn't an accident. If Homelander, the most paranoid and egotistical Soup alive, saw value in Cate, that means her abilities aren't just strong. They're essential to whatever long-term power play he's planning. Homelander doesn't surround himself with liabilities. He surrounds himself with weapons. And Cate is one of the sharpest ones he has. So why is Gen V portraying her as weak right now? It's all about setup. The writers are creating a redemption arc where Cate goes from being one of the most hated characters in Season 1 to someone who looks broken and fragile, only to later reveal that she's been leveling up this whole time. They want the audience to underestimate her, just like the other characters in the show are underestimating her. That way, when Cate finally regains control of her powers and unleashes her full potential, the impact will be massive. And let's not forget the emotional side of Cate's journey. Right now, she's struggling not just with her abilities, but with her guilt. Her betrayal of her friends in Season 1 still lingers, and her near-death experience in Season 2 has left her physically and mentally shaken. But Gen V thrives on redemption arcs, and Cate's is shaping up to be one of the most dramatic. Once she finds her confidence again, she won't just be back to her old self. She'll be stronger, more dangerous, and potentially unstoppable. Now, if you compare Cate to other supes in Gen V, her powers stand out for one key reason. They bypass brute force entirely. Marie's bloodbending is terrifying, but it still requires direct confrontation. Cypher's mind control is impressive, but it's tied to his mysterious origin and may have limitations. Homelander has raw strength and fear on his side, but he can't literally rewrite someone's thoughts or force them to act against their will. Cate's ability, on the other hand, is the ultimate equalizer. She doesn't need to fight someone. She just needs to think it, and suddenly they're on her side, or worse, destroying themselves. This is why Cate is still one of the most intimidating characters in the franchise, even if Gen V is trying to convince you otherwise right now. She represents the kind of threat that no amount of muscle or laser vision can counter. How do you fight someone who can hijack your mind before you even realize it? How do you protect yourself from a supe who doesn't need to touch you or even be awake to control your body like a puppet? As Season 2 progresses, I think we're going to see Cate go from fragile and broken to terrifyingly unstoppable. The hints are all there. The coma scene, her lingering influence, her connection to Homelander's supe army. The writers are setting up something big, and when it finally hits, it's going to change the entire balance of power in Gen V. Because here's the real kicker. Cate's story isn't just about her. It's about the future of the boys' universe. If Marie is being set up as the next Homelander-level powerhouse, and Cypher is being portrayed as a natural-born supe with his own dangerous agenda, then Cate is the wild card who could tip the scales in either direction. She could be the one who helps bring Homelander down, or the one who makes him more powerful than ever. She could join the heroes, or she could become one of the most dangerous villains the franchise has ever seen. So while Gen V Season 2 might be making her look weak right now, don't fall for the trick. Cate is still one of the strongest supes alive, and once she regains full control of her powers, there will be very few characters in this universe who can stop her. The only question left is, when that moment comes, whose side will she be on? Because if Cate decides to embrace the darker side of her abilities, then everyone, Marie, Jordan, Emma, even Homelander himself, should be absolutely terrified.
Unlock me and give me the keys.
Sure thing. It's a good reputation error. I like it. Where are you going?
We're rescuing Cate.
No one is gonna save us, Cate.